Alright, it's like 2 a.m. I do have a new addition to my collection. I'll show it to you. This right here is a flare pistol. Comes with 4 of these. I guess these things are pretty expensive, but it's for emergencies. Before all this happened, I had this idea that if I tried hard enough and worked hard enough, I'd be treated like a human being. I would be treated like somebody who has family. Now, all these people who threw me away like I was trash, none of them lost anything. I was the only one who lost anything out of all of this. There were no consequences for these people lying to me. There was no consequences for them lying about me. There were no consequences for them assaulting me. There were no consequences for them threatening to kill me and my family. There were no consequences for any of my predators. And that was before Natalie was killed. People who claim they love me and claim that they were my friends, between telling the truth and being friends with my predators, and they want to talk about loyalty. Ain't no such thing as loyalty. When I got kicked out of my shop, I needed help. I needed help so I could keep my shop. Brandon Ratner could have spoken up about the situation with Josh Hughes, and he did. Here on YouTube, I recorded a conversation between us, and I posted it up. Actually, I posted up a few conversations between us. So for about a year after Virginia, I went to everybody I could to try to get help. But they were all busy talking over me. You guys listen to the conversations between Brandon and I. I'm trying to let him know how him bullshitting me affected me. I try to explain to him why it is so important for him to come forward and tell the fucking truth. I try to explain to him that it's because of people like him who knew I was telling the truth but never fucking spoke up that all of this happened. It wasn't just Brandon Ratner. I asked Brandon, it's been 3 years. Why after 3 years have you still not come forward? He tried telling me that he came forward because I recorded it and posted it up. That's not the same thing, Brandon. And you know it. This is all stuff that you should have come forward with years ago, Brandon. Remember the night that you came and got me in the snow? I was so glad for that. You needed to speak about that situation. The only reason that the police got away with what they did is because people like you never, ever made an effort to go in with me to make a report. You never, ever made an effort to go in with me. Brandon, just like many others, claims that he tried going to the police. The police didn't say that. The police said the opposite. Meanwhile, it was the police intentionally screwing up that prevented me from being able to communicate with anyone who could help. You know, one of those ladies, she put money on my books while I was in jail so I could make phone calls. That was Arapahoe County Jail. She put that in the first week I was there. And guess what? That money never fucking showed up. And it fucked me completely. And then Mandy Hughes later on, she wants to throw that in my face. Not even throw it in my face to me, because she's being a fucking cunt to me. She wants to bitch to Shannon Alvarado. Oh, he treated us like shit after we sent him all that money for the phone. I didn't treat you like shit. I told the fucking truth. And I recorded you telling the truth. The things that you should have come forward about. The things that you should have fucking spoken up about in court. King of Nichols wants to pretend that I'm a bad person because I recorded the truth. Years after Natalie was fucking killed. Years after King of Nichols should have fucking come forward and told the truth. None of these people bothered to see what I was going through. None of them bothered to care. Brandon Ratner, when I call him up, he wants to tell me about all of his fucking bullshit. I can't do a goddamn thing about his bullshit. And he has plenty of fucking help. When he was going to help me out, that night he dropped me off at La Quinta Inn after going with me to get this computer. He couldn't help me because there was a girl he had a crush on and he had to go chase her down. And he's done that 5 or 6 times with various women since Natalie died. Like, holy fuck, dude, I get it. You're fucking lonely. All right. You're not a bad dude, but Jesus fucking Christ, dude. At any point in time, you could have come fucking forward. And those of you who have listened to the conversations between him and I, you take a look at them. Just like the conversations between me and Miss Peaches. I was telling the truth the whole fucking time. But because of the term mentally ill, I was harmed repeatedly. And all of these people who promised me that they would help me are like, well, I don't understand why you can't do it. First of all, I don't have the fucking resources you do. All of my resources were taken away when Natalie fucking died. Did I kill Natalie? Obviously fucking not. The evidence proves that for an entire fucking year before Natalie died, I was begging for fucking help. I was denied that help because of the term mentally ill repeatedly. It's okay for you to harm somebody just by calling them mentally ill. And I told you how fucked up it was that no matter what jurisdiction I was in, they didn't take a report. No matter what jurisdiction I was in, they weren't going to. And I already knew that. Police don't give a fuck about the homeless. Just like you don't. You just want someone you can fucking victimize and get away with. Just like Natalie. Just like Alicia. All of these people wanted to alleviate their sins against Natalie. And then pushing her to fucking suicide. And they all wanted to alleviate it by trying to put it onto me. The media only wanted to look at one side. And to this day, they've done everything that they can not to look at my fucking side. Everything that they can to treat me like shit for trying to get fucking help. And then your bullshit about how I need to be on fucking drugs.
You're out of your goddamn mind. I needed help stopping abuse, not injected with drugs and given the mentally ill treatment. How many of these people that should have fucking come forward, that should have fucking explained, hey, Sean is not fucking schizophrenic. This mentally ill treatment is bullshit, and you need to knock it the fuck off. All of these people who I recorded admitting that I am obviously not fucking schizophrenic. Obviously, I'm not fucking hallucinating this shit. But just like Aaron Cockerham and Carl Rogers and about a dozen other people, none of these people wrote down the names they talked to. None of them wrote down the dates. None of them recorded the phone call. It's basically just their word versus the cops. These aren't the kind of people that I should have had to deal with. Diane G typed, I'm 33 and I've saw that my whole life, and even now I'm awake crying for the same reason. We gotta work together to save lives. I had to do a lot of illegal shit that I wouldn't have had to do if it hadn't been for the mentally ill tag. If it hadn't been for assaults by police officers, including Waylon Lolatai. George Helmstetter, the conversation between him and I on here, he talks about another one of the assaults. Remember when I told you about escaping the chair in Boulder County Jail? Yeah. That was in August of 2018. That was 7 months after Natalie was killed. 7 months of empty promises, 7 months of assaults, 7 months of moving from one abusive environment to another. 7 months. Then when I was transferred to Arapahoe County, they made sure that I couldn't be there for my court date. The officers who assaulted me in Boulder County, they continued to do those things. The same treatment, too. The mentally ill treatment, when you try to turn in a police officer, they drug you. You don't get a say-so in any of the treatment they give you. If they take you to a mental hospital, you are automatically assumed crazy. Just like with the police, you are automatically assumed guilty. Same thing with the courts. You are guilty until proven innocent, and you are not allowed to prove your innocence. And all these people made all these empty fucking promises, and at the end of the day, while my predators were actively pursuing me, actively harming me, actively playing fucking head games, actively doing their goddamn best to destroy evidence and hide their crimes. Every goddamn day. Those people who pretended to love me, those people who pretended to care about me, like Kinga Nichols, who I'd known for at least a decade. People like Brandon Rat, known pretty damn close to a decade. People like Miss Peaches, who was heavily involved in the situation. Miss Tabby, who I've known for over a decade. Brenda Dickinson, who knew a lot about the situation and just never came forward. Same thing with Laura Nelson. And yeah, they all got their excuses. But they're not the ones paying for those excuses. I am. If you do something wrong to me, you just throw me away like I'm fucking toilet paper. You flush me down the fucking toilet and tell me it's my fault. I deserve the abuse because I have a penis. I deserve the abuse because I defended myself after a long period of abuse. You know what long-term abuse is? You know, there's the woman like Shannon Alvarado who's never been raped, but she was molested once. And that one time she was molested, fucked her head up for the rest of her life. I was raped repeatedly. Because I have a penis, I'm not allowed to speak up about that. Because I have a penis, I'm not allowed to experience trauma because of it. Because I have a penis, I have to deal with a bunch of man-hating lesbians who I never did any wrong to, treat me like I am a fucking predator just because of my genitalia, while screaming, "We want equality! We want to be treated like men!" No, the fuck you don't. Most of the women I know tell me, "Sean, I don't like women. I won't be friends with women. They're too fucking shady." This is coming from the women I know. When a woman decides that she's embarrassed, it's different than a man. When a man's embarrassed, he's basically got himself to rely on, unless he's good looking and his wife is a vindictive fucking bitch. These people aren't bad people, they're stupid people. They couldn't put two and two to fucking together, even though I wasn't giving them two and two. I was telling them, "Hey, it's four." I'm telling them, "Hey, it's four." And they're like, is it six? Is it seven? Holy hell. I don't know how many times people kept on repeatedly telling me, "Sean, you got to do it all by yourself. You got to do it all by yourself." My predators had a shit ton of help. I'm not allowed to do it by myself because of the tag of mentally ill. Now, there's all these witnesses that I told the truth about that should have fucking come forward in court and promised to do so and never fucking did. And then there's these other folks who wasted my time and my resources with empty fucking promises. You know, in each one of these situations, after meeting most of these people, I knew what was going to happen next. With Shannon Alvarado, hell, months before she fucking pulled her bullshit the second time, I said exactly what would happen. Those of you who have tried to pay attention might have listened to the conversation between me and Shannon Alvarado, where she said that I was welcome back there anytime and that Rick wouldn't give me any problems and that it wasn't Rick's choice. And then when I went back down there, she couldn't keep her word because of Rick. She left me there injured with all that heavy shit stuck in that fucking bus station for 4 fucking days. She treated me completely like fucking shit. All in texting, of course. Then you get to listen to the conversation with Rick yelling at me. That's not a conversation, it's just Rick yelling at me. Shannon's like that every night. Or rather, she was at the time. And all these people, they're like, "Oh, I'm changed. I'm changed. You know, I'm not like that anymore." Me and Rick don't argue all the time anymore. "Sean, I'm not drunk all the time anymore." Or, "Sean, I'm not on meth anymore," or so on and so forth. Or in the case of Amanda Engeline, Well, I don't watch Game of Thrones anymore. It doesn't matter that you don't watch it anymore. What matters is that while I was there, you treated me like shit for playing video games, and I didn't even fucking get to play video games. Your internet sucked that badly. But you watched Game of Thrones for hours a fucking day, binge watching that shit while I was there. And then judge me as if I'm a lazy piece of shit. I didn't ask you to do shit for me. I asked you to teach me, and you didn't. All of the work that I did, and all of the work that Amanda did up there, all went down the toilet because I didn't fuck her mom. And I had to start over from there. Start over trying to find an address where I could have mail sent to. Start over trying to get my medical records. And that's when I went to Tabby's. I paid Brandon Ratner to help me move my stuff from Ken and Leah's. I gave Tabby over $500 in cash in front of Brandon. I bought Joshua Eichelberger's beer so that he would leave me alone so I could get something done. I bought Graham's pot so that he could get himself zoned in and fucking whatever. I bought food for the house. I cleaned every day. I'm going to take that part back. We provided food for the house. It was a household effort, except for Joshua Eichelberger. We cleaned up the house every single day. Everyone except for Joshua Eichelberger. We were on pins and needles the whole time I was there because Joshua Eichelberger is that much of a fucking drunken asshole all the goddamn time. When Tabby told me he was gone, I was so fucking happy. Of course, by that point, it was already too late to do me any good. I spent a lot of time and money and effort and resources trying to get the help that I needed while being victimized by the police because I had to go to the very same officers' jurisdictions and departments and officers by name who hadn't done their jobs in 2016, hadn't done their jobs in 2017. Didn't give a fuck, straight up blew me off. And then Natalie got shot in the head. And now it's popular to hate me as if I was the devil. Anyone can threaten my life. Anyone can assault me. Anyone can do anything that they want to me. And I have to be afraid to go to the police. I have to be afraid to turn in my predators. I have to be afraid of getting blown off, assaulted, or injected with fucking drugs. Because the police that I have to go to are my fucking predators, you idiots. Meanwhile, I get told by man-hating lesbians that I need to shut up because women are raped more often. So that makes it okay for somebody to do this to a man? That makes it okay to not listen to men who go through it? There's 28 million men in the United States who are victims of sexual abuse before they turned 18. I want you to fucking think about that. 28 million American males were sexually abused before the age of 18. And you shame us for it. A lot of people, they say, oh, you shouldn't slut shame people. Well, hold on a second. I want you to make a comparison here. There's that good looking Tyson Beckford looking feller, or Brad Pitt looking feller, or Johnny Depp looking feller, whoever it is that you got this big crush on, and you throw yourself at him. You're throwing yourself at him like candy at a parade. And lots of people do. He don't give a shit about you. He's good looking. If he gives you a chance, he's going to throw you away tomorrow because he's got other, well, chances. If he does decide he's going to let you stick around a bit, and he treats you completely like shit, and hits you and gets all strung out on drugs and demands sex, there's that dork that you have been friends with for forever. Whenever you make another bad dating decision, that dork is your go-to. That nerd is the one that you go to. You know that even if you fuck him over completely, you are his only friend. So yeah, he'll go through hell for you, even though you keep going back to these assholes. And then you blame it on that dork. Nerd, spaz, freak, whatever you want to call us. We're the dudes that you call when you need a fucking hero. But then when you decide that you're going to go back to the abuse because you love that good looking feller. Yeah, sure, he beats on you, but you love him. He ain't rescuing you from shit. All he's doing is trying to intimidate all your friends until you don't have any. Both male and female. And then you pretend that that dork is just stirring up trouble because he wants to get laid. That nerd is just making stuff up because he wants to steal your girlfriend. Y'all have seen that movie, The Wedding Singer, right? Yeah. That asshole that Julie is going to marry. He's a good looking asshole, right? He's one way with his wife, and he's another way when he's not around his wife. There's a guy here in town was telling me some jokes, and I personally found those jokes tasteless. But he told me them jokes. Next day, I went and told his wife them jokes, and I haven't been allowed over at their house since. And do you think it occurs to her that I got those jokes from her husband? Would she have kicked him out of the house if she knew that I got those jokes from him? Should I have told her that I got those jokes from her husband instead of leaving like I was asked? You slut shame that dude. You slut shame that nerd, that freak or weirdo, or whatever the hell you want to call him. You let him be assaulted and harassed and humiliated and harmed repeatedly because you don't want to tell the truth. You don't want to admit that you called him for help. You don't want to admit that the guy who didn't hit you and doesn't beat on you is the one who is taking the punishment because you're in love with the dude who does beat on you, who has no loyalty to you. And here's what I got to say about loyalty. Loyalty above all else, except honor. Loyalty without honor is not loyalty. It's stupidity. It's cruelty. It makes the world a darker place. They must be right because they have a badge. They must be right because of their skin color. They must be right because of their gender. Or wrong for those reasons. Americans especially are taught to think and believe that way. If a woman doesn't get what she wants, she can slander a man's name. And it's okay, he just has to take it. See, there's what the law says, and then there's what's socially acceptable. Social acceptance got nothing to do with the law. You know why? Because if the law won't change, but people believe something is socially unacceptable, they're going to raise arms. It's just how it is. They're going to get sick of being told no. No, you can't have health care. No, you can't have a 40-hour work week. No, you can't have a decent wage. Yes, you do have to give us more and more and more. I'm sorry that my keyboard doesn't work. You know, I had some money that was supposed to try to help me getting housing. I've jumped through everybody's hoops, and you know, they just want more, 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 more out of me, and I can't do this every day. I can't keep jumping through these hoops. I can't keep having to take a deal because somebody didn't keep their word, or they decided to change the deal at the last minute, so I get shortchanged. But it's okay. It's okay because they can call me mentally ill, and it's magically okay. Cody Selhorst should not have tried to intimidate me into leaving town. Same thing with Jared Hahn. Jordan Anderson was just a fucking idiot. You know, he wasn't a lazy son of a bitch on purpose. It was pretty early in the morning. He was tired. He didn't realize the gravity of the situation. He didn't realize the nature of the predators that I was dealing with at the time. I tried to explain to him about Ted Bollinger and about Natalie dying. Now, these police officers, when they took me to the hospitals and I wasn't listened to and I was drugged, you know, these doctors tried to, or sorry, nursing staff, because the doctors were rarely there, tried to give the police what they wanted. The police wanted me diagnosed with something that would make it okay that they didn't do their fucking job. Now, sure, it wasn't exactly a conversation like that, but basically, yeah. Hahn and Selhorst are the two deputies who I was trying to turn in. They knew I was trying to turn them in, so they manipulated mnjb. They had me committed to Scotts Bluff for trying to turn in Cody Selhorst and Jared Hahn. And when I got to the hospital, I wasn't listened to. It was automatically assumed that I was the bad guy. All they wanted to do is put drugs in me. And they wanted to treat me like I was hallucinating things because I told them what the cops had done. Or schizophrenic over something they're saying, unless you have actually looked into the validity of what it is that they are saying. If they're saying, hey, I was assaulted by a police officer, matter of fact, the two police officers who brought me in here. Now, did Jared Hahn and Cody Selhorst ever actually assault me? No, they did not. Of course, by putting me in those handcuffs, by Nebraska law, they actually did. By Nebraska law, that is assault. under those conditions and those circumstances. But that fucking doctor up there didn't want to listen to me. And you know, last time I was up at that hospital, because I'd been trying to turn them in for over a year, they were another one of them group who got lucky that my public pretenders didn't want to do their jobs, and they kept on preying on the mentally ill tag. Everywhere I went, officers treated me like shit. Everywhere I went, I spoke out. Everywhere I went, I was railroaded. Everywhere I went, where people had promised to help me the way that I needed, I had to take a back door to their drugs, them trying to get laid, and then thinking that I have a lot more abilities than I actually do. Like I can magically just think of the things that I want and they'll all just magically show up. There's a lot of dumb hippies who believe in that. The power of manifestation. Oh, I believe in the power of manifestation. I believe if you get off your ass and bust your ass, you might get something. If you work together with people who are capable of working together with others, you get a lot of something. I wasn't the one on drugs, Natalie was. Natalie wasn't the one being stalked, I was. Well, Natalie was pretending that I might do something bad to her. People were doing bad things to me. Well, people wanted to pretend that I was a bad person for cursing. Are you trying to tell me these are good people for assaulting me? I wasn't cursing for no goddamn reason. I was cursing because I was being harmed for crimes that I did not commit. And to this day, nobody has helped me with that. Just empty promises after empty promises after empty promises. I had to go to a bunch of goddamn wingnut web sleuths for help. Because my family didn't care. My friends didn't care. Sure, they typed pretty words at me. They never showed up in court and they never fucking spoke out. Joanna Taylor Smith, before Natalie was killed, Joanna Taylor Smith was promising that she was going to help me. No, Sean, don't kill yourself. Stick around, I'll help you. We'll have coffee, Sean. Shit. She fucking couldn't even call for 5 minutes to do that. Too busy telling me how to think and how to feel. And texting. And when I try to explain the situation, I get treated like shit. All these people blow me off, and then they use their families as their excuses. They called me family, told me they loved me. Then when they didn't keep their word, and it resulted in more harm against me, they're like, "Look, you can't blame me, dude. Fucking, I got a family, you know." Yeah. And you just made things worse for your family and everybody else's by not standing up to the tyrant. You just made things worse for your family and everybody else for not standing up for what's right. Desiree fucked me over pretty severely. She stole a lot of important stuff because she wanted to go back to her meth, just like Andrew Witcher. That's all they cared about. They weren't ever going to actually help me. But even after Desiree stole all my stuff, I still went back to help. Even after Amy Witcher pulled the bullshit that she did when she asked me to come back from Washington State and help watch the kids, I said, all right. I turned around and I came this way. Despite the bullshit that Natalie Bollinger put me through. When she disappeared, I did my best to try to help find her and get her home safe. When Alicia Bollinger disappeared not once but 3 separate occasions since Natalie died, I did everything that I could to try to find her and get her safely home. And I had to do that from a distance. Every time Alicia runs away, I got to deal with more people threatening to kill me and accusing me of killing Alicia. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to realize that I don't fucking kill people. Missing people. I know a lot of them. I know a lot of people that went missing and were found, and a lot of them who were missing and were found dead. And through all of this, I've gotten to hear all sorts of people make up stories about me because it's popular to hate me. It's popular to pretend like I'm some sort of a villain. It's popular because you know you'll get away with it. It's popular because I'm not pretty. And Natalie was. When you talk about the man who rescued you and you say things like, you probably need to tie a stake around your neck to get laid by a dog, or you probably have to rape somebody to get laid. Really? Does everything have to be about sex for you? Is that your go-to every time that you do something wrong to a man? You pretend that it's all about sex? You go out and you destroy his vehicle with a baseball bat like my mom did to my stepdad. And then you pretend he's cheating. My mom was giving blowjobs to half the dudes in this town. My mom was having sex with my friend at school. There she was, bashing the shit out of Scott's fucking pickup truck with a baseball bat. Because his character on a video game married another character on that video game. Mom, you've got little boys' dicks in your mouth. And then you kiss your husband with that mouth. That one, this one, type hi, Sean. Hi, that one, this one. So yeah, you guys slut shame men. You slut shame the good ones, though. You don't slut shame that good looking asshole because you want him to give you a chance or another chance. Why would you want to give him another chance after he beat on you? After he separated you from all of your loved ones and treats you like shit all the fucking time? A lot of people are like, you're a fucking piece of shit, Sean. Look how you treat people. No, you should look how I treat people. And you should look at how they treat me. I am all down for equality. Before my trip to Virginia in 2016, I was all about the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. But after Virginia, let me explain to you. There's a big difference between leaving a situation and not being allowed to leave a situation. When you drive 1,700 miles to get away from that bullshit, and when you get to your destination 1,700 miles away, you've already got to deal with more of that bullshit. And then these people who started the rumors I'm being assaulted over want to pretend like they did nothing wrong. Want to pretend like they're victims. Want to not deal with these things as adults should, and they were adults, which is to talk it out like adults. Obviously, myself and Natalie were both trying to get help. Obviously, nobody helped me. Obviously, the police didn't help me. Obviously, my friends did not help me. Men are treated differently than women. Women in the United States are spoiled with this shit. Good men don't make you go after rapists and child molesters and men who will beat you. He's good looking. He thinks he can get away with doing whatever he wants. And guess what? You are doing nothing to deter that way of thinking in his mind. Especially when you're frustrated at him, but you're taking it out on me. Every time that you pretend that a squabble between you and a male is about sex, you're not just being sexist. You're doing something far worse than slut shaming. You are villainizing a good man. You are pretending that a hero is an evil person. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for all of these ugly looking dudes who keep coming to your rescue time and time again, only for you to shit all over them and go back to a beating. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go back to a beating. I don't want to go back to the booze cabana. Here I am in Nebraska, where we've got between 40 and 60% alcoholism rate in this town. That's just alcohol. That's not counting the meth. That's not counting the pills or the pharmaceuticals. It's not counting the opiates. It's not counting ORAP and lithium. All sorts of medications that damage your liver. 75 of the world's opiates go to the United States. We have less than 5% of the world's population. 5%. We get lost. There are so many poor people now. You just get lost in the crowd. They say there's no money for us to investigate this, but there's plenty of money for us to frame you. There's plenty of money for us to lock you up. There's plenty of money for us to pay all of these officers and all of these public pretenders and these judges. There is plenty of money to pay these people not to do their jobs. There is plenty of money to pay these people to victimize the poor. The amount of money that was wasted on me is numbered in the millions in the last 4 years. Millions. Not hundreds, not thousands, not tens of thousands, not even hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars. Your taxpayer dollars. And then you guys think that I got this magic freebie going along that protects me from everything because I got this disability money coming in. Finally, again. But the problem is that it wasn't the money. The whole time people were like, I'll send you some, I'll send you some. No, I need your words. I need you to speak out now so that we can put a stop to this. Otherwise, I am going to have to spend the rest of my life begging people for money, begging people for help. I'm tired of being victimized. I didn't choose to be disabled. I didn't choose to get injured. I didn't choose any of the horrible things that people chose to do to me because they knew they would get away with it. In each and every one of these situations, these people knew what lies to sell in order to get away with the things that they did. And these people that I tried explaining it to, Peaches, you gotta write down the name of the officer. And if at all possible, record the conversation. Same thing with Aaron Cockerham. Not one of these people was able to tell me which officer they talked to. Not one of them was able to show me a report that they had sent to these officers or to the courts. Not Brandon Ratner, not Aaron Cockerham, none of them. They said they did. They just didn't. Or maybe they did. Maybe they actually did. I mean, I recorded them saying that they did. I recorded them saying they tried to turn it in. But again, did they go in with me? I'm just supposed to take their word for it. Meanwhile, they treat me like shit because they their word, and I'm just supposed to take their word for it. It's like these fucking Dwiznuts who think that because I had a fucking mental breakdown in December of 2017, that it made everything that was done to me in 2016 and 2017 magically okay. Because I finally had a mental breakdown in August of 2018. This is months and months after Natalie was killed. I'm still taking abuse at this point. I'm still being threatened and harassed by cops. I'm still being assaulted at this point. I mean, I don't know how best to explain to you that they made me a target by pretending I was a predator. And then they ignored all of those people who harmed me over that targeting by calling me mentally ill and pretending I was schizophrenic. Now, a lot of the stuff that I said to these officers and also to these hospital staff that they pretended that I was mentally ill or schizophrenic for, I asked those questions in specific of witnesses. Did these things happen or did I hallucinate it? And on this very YouTube channel, you can hear them saying with their own voices, in their own voices, in their own words. Not me dictating it for them. The conversation between me and Chelsea, or between me and Brandon, or between me and Rihanna, or between me and so many of these other people who are pissed off that I recorded it and put it on YouTube. But these are the very same people who promised to speak up in court, promised to come forward, promised that they loved me, that they would not throw me away. And sure enough, they did. Because they didn't want to understand. Brett Roloff digging through his own feces for a bag of meth that he swallowed the day before and getting fucked up and screaming at each other. That was more important. Hey, Shannon Alvarado's, getting drunk on the biggest fucking bottle of wine I've ever seen, and she's getting drunk on that every night, and she's screaming every night. I'm supposed to be fine with that. Maybe if we had 2 or 3 people in the courtroom who were just in there screaming the whole fucking time that the judge is trying to hold court, maybe he would understand how difficult it is for me to get anything fucking done. Now let's take away his courtroom and his ability to get to the courtroom. Let's take away all the tools that he needs to do his job and then tell him to do his job. How well is that going to work out, Mr. Judge? Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're there anyway. You guys already decided who's guilty and who's not. That's how it is when you get a public pretender. They've already decided your guilt or innocence before you go into the courtroom. And the only thing that's going to save your ass is a full jail. Well, the jail's full. We don't want to hold on to him for that long. He's obviously not one of the types who's going to follow through on probation. And if we put him on probation, he's just going to leave, and we're going to lose out on the money that we want to make on him. See, Boulder County pretends like they want to help out the homeless. They don't. They set up dummy programs where they pretend that they're going to help, but really they just want the slide and fee scale, which is your tax dollars. And they want to be able to say that they're doing something. And people want them run out, and the cops make a big show of pretending like they're doing that too. But then they put you on probation. They put you on 2-year probation. And at 22 months, they start searching for you to violate you. So they can start you over for another 2 years. Another 2 years of classes that you got to pay for. Another 2 years of appointments that you got to pay for. Another 2 years of UAs that you got to travel down to 55th and Arapahoe for. It don't matter how innocent you are. It doesn't matter how much the cops victimize you. The law allows them to get away with it. The only protection that we the people have is we the people, and we have to be we the people to do that. Not they the blacks and they the whites, they the men and they the women. There's more poor people than rich people. Rich people are all hoarders, and hoarders all have a sickness. The same sickness as alcoholics. The same sickness as meth addicts. And you guys may not want to hear this, but it's the same sickness as child molesters. Yes, I'm comparing you drug addicts and alcoholics to child molesters. You know that most of those situations involve drugs or alcohol. Oh, but you don't want to hear that, do you? Was your dad drunk when he fucked you? Was your mom drunk when she beat the living hell out of you? Was your dad on meth when he dumped you off Earl Street and told you to sell those drugs? The Bollingers are all terrible monsters. I want to die because I was painted as the boogeyman and I get treated like the boogeyman. But I'm still fighting my damnedest to show you who the real boogeymen are. And they're not all men. Not all predators are sexual predators. And not all predators are male. Not all victims are female. Stay up every night having a panic attack because I can't see my loved ones. None of them care. When they didn't keep their word, I'm not allowed to be frustrated. But they're protected from this. They have families and roofs over their heads and people who help them, not in months or years, but right fucking now. Raj, you knew that the narrative being sold, that's Miss Peaches or Kayla Trujillo, her baby's daddy. He knew that the narrative being sold was bullshit. He knew I was being harmed. Not once did he speak up. Not once in between when Natalie died and when he decided to be an asshole. And he lied. He said that 3 members of his family, 3 adult members of his family, went in with me to make reports. They didn't. None of them went in with me. None of them could bear witness. And no matter what, when I try to get that evidence, I'm denied. There's always some excuse. When they tell me that I need to get a lawyer to get that information, and I contact a lawyer, and the lawyer says, you don't need a lawyer to get that. That's your personal information. You are entitled to it by law. They have to send it to you. Well, I recorded them telling me that they're not gonna. I recorded their excuses for 2 years. They finally complied after the statute of limitations was up. That's the problem with my predators. Working for the government in the criminal justice system and them having the evidence that I need to take them to court. All they have to do is deny that evidence, deny me the right to it, just like they denied me the right to see any of the slander against me in my court dates. Refused to allow me to go through that with my public pretenders. They didn't fucking care. Then there's rubber stamps like Kathleen M. Jansky. What a fucked up lady. I can't even say lady. It's like pretending that Pamela Cardi is a human being. Human beings don't do shit like that. Human beings don't take a job in public service and then fuck the public that they're supposed to be serving. But Colorado's bad. All jurisdictions in Colorado are like that. You are not going to find a county in Colorado that does not have crooked cops in it. That's what happens when these predators reach all the way to the top. They fill in all of the positions below them with people who are like-minded. Once we got a House and Senate and Congress full of child molesters, we done sealed our motherfucking fate. Because these are the people who are making laws, and they're making laws that'll protect their asses. While at the same time, making laws that'll victimize you. Got enough money to buy the loopholes, you can get away with whatever you want. If you don't have any money, you can't even get away with existing. You get busted sleeping one night with a blanket in Boulder, Colorado. You're talking about over $400 in fines and 60 hours of community service. This is for your first offense. Assholes are assholes. Don't make any excuse. The very same people that don't like you because you're different, because of the color of your skin or because of your gender, they look at someone like me. They hate me worse than they hate you black folks. They hate me worse than they hate you women. Because I'm the guy they can take their aggression out on and get away with it. If they take it out on a black person, it's a hate crime. If they take it out on a woman, again, that's a hate crime. But you take it out on a homeless person, women and black folks even. Take out their shit on the homeless and nobody cares. The black community does not give a shit as a whole about the homeless. The white community, same thing. The Asian community, same thing. I am glad for the very few members of each one of these groups who show that they're part of an even better, even greater group, and that is humanity. The few black people, and the few white people, and the few males, and the few females who are doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. But they are so few. And many of y'all want to talk about how good of people you are, how decent of people you are, how wonderful you are. Then you're just tooting your own horn. Because in real life, I see you. I see what you do. There's no goodness in you. It's just selfishness, malice, and spite. Your answer to everything is violence and killing and harming others. But not others who are actually doing these things. People who look the part. She looks sweet and innocent. She must be sweet and innocent. He looks like a Hollywood serial killer. He must be a Hollywood serial killer. She looks like a Manhattan dyke. He looks like a wife beater. You don't like that stuff, do you? I've been made fun of, picked on, harassed, bullied, assaulted my entire life for being gay. I've never been gay. And I know a lot of gay folks who tell me, Sean, you will never understand. You'll never understand what it's like not to be accepted by your parents, by your family. I'm gonna tell you a story. When I was about 15 years old, sorry about the train. My mom told me she thought I was gay. And my old babysitter from when I was a little kid was there. Her name was Teresa Orn. She said, Sean, but if it's okay if you're gay. If you're gay, we will still love you. And my mom said, I won't. What a sweet lady. My mom and my old boss, Doug Cowden, he raped Ryan Ingersoll, by the way. Ryan is the friend of mine who died a few months ago. The alcoholic who was smacking around Amy's kids. A lot of y'all type, I'm sorry about your friend. Friends. There are over a dozen of my loved ones in Colorado that have died since Natalie died. That I never got to see because of safety issues. Y'all have a good evening. Try to find a way to get through this peacefully. If they're shooting at you, though, my recommendation is Run the other way if you don't know how to handle a firearm. Yeah, sure, you'll get shot in the back, but you won't see it coming and you'll die fucking quickly. Those of you who want to call yourself realists, realistically speaking, if you do not know how to handle a firearm with situations that are happening as they are and events happening as they are, you better learn real fucking quick. And I'm not saying this for your fucking benefit. I'm not. I'm saying that if you don't know shit about firearms because you think they're evil, you hit a situation where you need one of them fucking guns. If you don't know how to fucking use it, you're a danger to yourself and everyone around you. Whether you think guns are okay or not, there are situations where you're going to wish that you fucking had one. There are going to be situations where you watching a survival fucking video on making a bow 20 fucking years ago, you go out there and you try to make that fucking bow and you try to catch your dinner, you're going to realize real quick, fast, and in a hurry, maybe you should have fucking learned how to use a gun. If you've got people shooting at you and there are guns laying all around you because people are getting shot to fucking death around you, and your only chance of getting you and your family out of that situation is shoot back, what happens when you don't know how to check for the fucking safety? You don't know the safety from the fucking trigger. You barely know what the fucking buttstock is. And if you say muzzle, that's going to confuzzle the shit out of you. So you go to pick up a fucking firearm that's just laying there, and blam, accidental discharge. You just shot your own fucking kid in the head because you're a dumbass. You wanted to be a fucking hippie. I'm going to tell you something. You may be completely against fucking cars, but you do need to know something about fucking cars if you're going to get in one and fucking drive one. Now, you guys heard about that 9-year-old who was trying to drive his mom who was going into labor. He was trying to drive her to the hospital and got them all killed. She was hoping that her son could drive him there. You know, there was probably a couple occasions where he sat on daddy's lap and drove the vehicle. So mom thought, hey, he could probably handle it. And out here, I've known 9-year-olds. I went to school with kids who had driver's licenses so they could drive to school from their house way the fuck out in the country when they were 9 years old. 9. Holy hell. By the time I moved here, everybody who had a driver's license younger than 16, the youngest they had them was at age 12. Miller 17 type love conquers all. Would you ever own a gun? I have owned guns. I've owned quite a few. I got rid of them because I was homeless. That's not smart. It's not smart to go homeless with a fucking rifle, I can guarantee you that. And sure, it was just a little 22 Marlin. But it's a rifle, you know. And then I had my 22 Browning vest pistol. I mean, what's that? I got to get a concealed carry to carry that thing. And then there was my SKS. That's a big Horkin fucking rifle. Big. But the one that really fucking kicked, that was my British Enfield. It was a 303 British. That thing kicked like a fucking mule. If there's a situation where I need a firearm, and I hate to quote anything from Mel Gibson or from Hollywood, but if there's a situation where I absolutely need a gun, there'll be plenty of them laying around. Since Natalie died, I've probably had nearly 24 people offer me firearms, and I've turned every single one of them down. One lady, she asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I said, I either want a 22 long rifle or a bow, and I don't want a 22 long rifle. Guess how many people I shot when I had guns? None. I got plenty of dinner with it, though. When I realized that, I don't have a lot of time in between going to work at Cashway and when I wake up, I started hunting with a bow because there were plenty of rabbits in town and there was no reason that I had to go popping off noise at that early in the morning. So I got a compound bow and I hunted rabbits with it, cooked them for breakfast. I even shot a few rabbits on the courthouse lawn here in Chapel, Nebraska. Over half of those killed by police last year were called mentally ill. Nearly half of those killed by police last year were homeless. The ratios in the jails aren't any better. We need to stop ignoring groups of victims. Oh, you're not black, so we're not going to listen to you. You're not a woman, so we're not going to listen to you. You're not a child, so you're not worth fighting for. You're not an old person, you're not worth fighting for. You're not rich, you're not worth fighting for. You chose to be poor. You chose this, you chose this, you chose this. You chose for people to harm you over slander. You chose for your friend to go back to a beating and pretend like you're the bad guy. And you tell me I chose these things. How fucking cute. Would I ever own a gun? If it became necessary, absolutely. If I could no longer depend on anyone not to be ugly, yeah, I'd want a decent hunting rifle and a bunch of ammo and a spot way the hell off in the boonies where nobody would ever find me. And guess what I would use that firearm and that ammunition for? For getting dinner. Now, what's the best firearm for hunting if you're going to be getting dinner off in the wilderness? 22 long rifle. You get small game with 22 long rifle, and there's a lot of small game. The bigger an animal is, the less of them you're going to find. Of course, the easier it'll be to see them. But then when you're talking about wanting to go off into the boonies and stay there for a good long while, you're going to want non-corrosive ammunition. You're going to want ammunition that is lightweight and cheap. You're going to want to take a lot of rounds with you. You can get 22 long rifle for about 6 cents, between 6 and 8 cents a piece for the cheap ones. Whereas a British 303, they cost about $1.20 a round. If you shoot a rabbit with a 303, the rabbit's going to blow up. You're not going to find much usable meat on it after that. You shoot it with a 22, it'll get 2 steps and drop. If it got to the point where being a survivalist was the only option left, yes, I'd absolutely own a gun. I believe that every person in America should have a go bag right next to the door. Whether or not it has a gun in it is up to you. With all this turmoil we got going on, the number of times that America almost started a nuclear war on accident, The number of people who have gone out of their way to murder people over race or religion. We got Christians killing Christians over which Jesus is the right Jesus. We got black folks murdering white girls who are political activists fighting for our rights. Because you don't like what she said? There are a lot of victims. And until the Black Lives Matter movement and many of their followers spend all that time being hateful, ignoring the other victims, pretending that every single thing in this country is all a racist thing. Like all white people get off no matter what. And all black people are going to get shot no matter what. No, that's not how it is. The most marginalized people in the United States are the disabled and the homeless and children. Not necessarily in that order. I'm not ignoring the victimization that's happening to black people. I'm not ignoring the victimization of the Native Americans in this country. I'm not ignoring the victims. I'm fighting as hard as I can for them without killing.